Howdy folks, I've got a Percheron and I gotta go shoot them. I've done them before and I've made some handmades for them. Some size 5 Kirk carts were nailed on them in the past when I started doing them, and that's kind of like his size, but the nail holes aren't coarse enough. So basically I do handmades on him, and today I'm just gonna kind of take you through. He needs new shoes. His name's Teddy. So if you guys like these videos, make sure you should subscribe and then also share them. I want to try to hit 50K subscribers on YouTube. So if you could help me out by doing that, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get into it. Alrighty, Teddy. We'll get your shoes pulled off.
So first things first, we got to get the shoes pulled off. I'm using some crease nail pullers just to pull out the nails, and then I'm going to use my pull off to finish pulling off the shoe, and then we'll get the foot cleaned and prepped and ready to start trimming. Got my wire brush there, clean out everything, so then it's a nice clean platform to start.
First glance, the new shoes that I made, they're the right size, so that's good. That's what we want.
So if you didn't see previously, the last video, I made the shoes for Ted, so go check that out if you want to see the process of making the shoes for Teddy.
I'll write down measurements from time to time, especially if they're big like Ted. I'll write them down and then I'll try to remember them for in the future. Most of the time when I'm just shoeing a horse, whether I make the shoes or they're keg shoes, I typically take a length and a width measurement, and then I can usually remember that. It's kind of a crazy thing where I can remember like the shapes and like what particular foot each horse has better than like I could remember your name or the client's name.
All right, so first thing was first, we had taken all the sole out with our hoof knife and basically got it to a point where now we're ready to start taking on a nip and nipping off the excess hoof wall, basically the length that grew out throughout this cycle, and that's why we shoe them.
Yeah, and you can remember all the issues they may have. Or
my client that owns this horse, she's actually a small animal veterinarian, so we're just kind of talking back and forth about the things that relate between our jobs or our professions. And it's funny how you can remember the horse's name or the animal's name easier than you can remember like a human's name. So it's something that we were chatting about there. That you caught a glimpse of.
Check it for flat before we rasp on it. Dang, they're burning on as it sits. Start with the high spots and blend them into the low spots.
The first thing first there, when I grabbed the foot before I started rasping it, I looked at it to make sure to see how flat it was and basically where I wanted to start rasping first instead of just rasping blindly. So when I'm rasping, taking the high spots and blending them down to the low spots. Try to make one flat plane and then also get that hoof in balance with the limb, meaning medial to lateral balance.
This is that straight outside quarter.
Now we're gathering up the hoof wall, looking at the distance between the edge of the hoof wall to the white line. So you're trying to gather it up to make it uniform thickness, but also something that's going to be nice and easy to fit. You want to try to get rid of any straight spots or hard hooks. Thankfully, he doesn't have that.
And how old is Teddy
feet.
again?
Teddy's 12.
Teddy's 12. Let's put that on there. It's pretty dang close. It's just a little. Shoe's nicer than the foot at the moment. Shape-wise. So he is 6 wide and about 6 5/8 long. So 14.5 was the right.
So now I'm going to sight the foot flat again. You can see where I'm using both thumbs right there, pushing on it. That can mess it up and change your eye. So you want to hold it with one hand
between the
so that
heels
way it
as
just
well,
hangs freely.
which is going to be 3 3/4. Now we just got to shape it up, burn it up. Did I startle you there, Ted? Think I was a big fly? Thankfully, like, the flies are finally disappearing. Goodness gracious.
Now we're going to start shoeing the right front. First thing we got to do is we got to get the old shoes pulled off and then clean it out, and then we can start trimming again.
And then they fly around like half dozed, like slow and dumb. It's easier to swat them that way, though.
It is. It's easier to kill. Yeah.
If you're a farrier, what's kind of one of your biggest pet peeves when working on horses? Or if you're not a farrier, what's kind of one of your biggest pet peeves in your everyday career?
Yeah, thankfully not.
It is surprising that there aren't a lot of mosquitoes here, given the amount of moisture. But probably just because it's dry through the summer, so you don't have anywhere to breed at, which is good.
Oh man, you can almost just don't even need to shape this other one. Go right on. Let's see. Let's start getting some of this sole out of here before we trim up that frog.
So I usually have the same system for when I'm knifing out feet. I'll start at one side and I'll work all the way around to the other side. Start taking out the dead sole, basically the stuff that you need to remove. You can see there towards the point of the frog.
So the moisture is basically just debrided a lot of the sole out of here, so there's no sense to get in to that area.
Meaning if you touch it, you own it. So whether you're working on a certification or for a contest, if you touch it, you own it, meaning that you trimmed it to that point. So right now you can see I haven't touched anything other than just where the outer edge of where that shoe was, protecting the sole and letting it grow some. Now we're going to come in, get our frog trimmed up, start at the bottom, work to the top, get it all cleaned out, get rid of all the tags, get rid of the dirt, then just make it nice and soft so it's pleasing to the eye, and that way it's less trappy for dirt and everything to get stuck up in there for future throughout this next cycle. These knives that I'm using for trimming out the frog, they're Stray Dog Forge knives made by Brian Strelo, so you can hit him up on his website or on Facebook and he can get you some hoof knives made up. Now it's time to start nipping away the excess length.
Yeah, they definitely didn't grow as much this time, now that we're kind of getting into the winter.
Yeah, I noticed it didn't. Usually there's more foot. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It makes sense, though.
Was this 5 or 6 weeks for them?
5.
5? Yeah, so we probably would be all right to go to 6.
So I'm just communicating with the client whether we did them at 5 weeks or 6 weeks, meaning that was the scheduled interval from when I saw him last. And feet tend to kind of slow down in the winter time. They're just not out moving around as much as they are in the summer. So this next time when I shoe them, I'm going to shoe them at 6 weeks versus this time at 5 weeks, just to give them a little bit extra length and more time to grow before reshoeing them again.
Yeah, forging a little bit.
And now before rasping up the foot flat, I'm just relieving a little bit of sole pressure that was left behind from nipping. So when you nip out a little bit more, you just have to take out a little bit more sole pressure. Sight it before rasping it. Look at it for flat.
Oh, really? By overreaching?
Yeah, I think the way this trend is not working for it. I'm trying to find velcros that fit on this because it's really bad.
I bet. And then they got to go around the feathers.
And then from the brands, if he's on the pasture, you're like,
Yeah, you can't really tell.
So here again, that's where we're gathering it up from the side, looking at the hoof wall thickness and what our shape's going to be before we fit up. So essentially, you would put in this shape, and then that's the flare you're going to dress on the top. So you would take it to the peg and then top dress that little bit of distortion out and gather that hoof up a little bit.
A little bit high through here still. Get these shoes in the fire, pull my forge out. Got my metal liner there. Let's go clips down. Turn on propane. Now we just wait till they get hot, shape them, burn them. Turn the forge down. Old slag master. Try and get this slag off. That's one big thing that's nice compared to like working coke and propane is the coke doesn't slag up near as much as like the propane does.
So if you haven't seen the first video already where I made these shoes for Teddy out of 3/8 by 1, so they're handmade shoes, and I made them at my forge out of a coke forge. So go check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. But these are the shoes I handmade for Ted. And now we're going to shape them up, fit them up, nail them on for him.
6 1/8 right there. 3 1/2 there, so a little bump closed. Now we'll get it flat before we burn it on. It's a nice brisk morning. clip pitched. I think we'll be sitting pretty good right there. Up we go, buddy. So my first objective here is I want to get the clip burned in and fit in. Just want to make sure that it's center of the foot where the frog's pointed. I'm not going to go crazy burning it right away until we get that clip fit up. You don't want to overburn them. It's a good way to make them sore. Just knife away the excess material so you don't have to burn all the way through it. Make sure your clip's in there. Now you can kind of start to see how it fits. Check your clip source here again. Clip notch, whatever you want to call it. So far it kind of looks like I just need to open up my heels a little bit. Yeah, take a little shape and open this up a little bit. Come back with another fit. The toe clips.
Yeah.
Back for our second fit check here. Open up my heels some.
So my first objective is I want to get my clip burned in and then cut in, and then I'm going to check to see how well it's shaped. So I'm on my second trip to the foot here to check to make sure it fits. Had to open up the heel some.
Has Teddy ever had toe clips on?
Yeah, Eddie in Arizona used to do the toe clips.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. What's the other clip? Side clip?
Yep. Side clips or quarter clips.
I always felt like he looked like a proper draft horse with the toe clip on.
Yeah, there's not much difference between like a toe clip and a side clip. Yeah. Kind of like the biggest difference is with a side clip or a quarter clip, you can come off the toe, like bring the shoe back.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But his feet are in a really good state right now to where we can just fit it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you see as I come to the camera, see all the black on the shoe? That's exactly where the hoof is in relation to the shoe. So that's how it fits right now.
Yeah, so like a clip's job mainly is to take stress off the nails. So if your horse, if he was losing shoes quite a bit without clips, it's probably because there was just so much stress and strain on the nails. It was easy to like either shear off or step off or.
That makes total sense.
I mean, he's pretty big, so.
Of course.
Get our clip cut in here. So I gotta come out to that quarter.
So basically what I mean by coming out to that quarter is my outside, I'm not fit all the way out and around it yet. So I'm not going to go ahead and just crazy burn it when I know it's not fitting on the outside yet. Meaning that the shoe is just underneath the foot just a little bit.
Alrighty, Ted, another look-see. Our clip in there. Much better. Fit out to that outside quarter. Let's get you some shoes nailed on, Ted.
It's time to nail up some shoes on old Ted. These are some Mustad concave nails, and I'm using the old Yukon Forge Edward Martin style driving hammer to nail these shoes up. What kind of nail do you guys like to use, and what hammer do you use? So right now I'm trying to get this heel nail in on the inside, but it's kind of going between an old nail hole that's low, so that's why you'll see me pull it out, just so I can try and drive it up there and not have it come out low. So I want to get a nice strong nail drove up in there.
This came out looking pretty good.
So horseshoe nails, they're designed on the backside, they're flat, and then on the inside they have a slope to them, so that as they're being drove through the hoof wall, they're designed to come out the hoof with some pitch. So that way they don't go into the sensitive structures and you don't stick a horse. So here I'm just trying to get good solid nails that are drove up the hoof wall and not low. So the strength of the nail lies by going all the way up through the foot and coming out versus a really low nail where there's no strength there.
Clinch block. There we go. There's one, Ted. Up we go, big guy.
So essentially, if a horse were to pull off a shoe, if the nails are really low towards the bottom and the horse steps on the shoe and rips the shoe off, it's going to rip all that hoof wall off with it because it's just clinched on there and not really up in the hoof wall. Versus if you have a really long nail that's actually drove up in the foot and clinched well, that clinch is just going to pop and then it's going to drag the nail all the way through it. So if it's drove really low, it has no chance to pop open the clinch and then pull out versus ripping all that foot with it. So that's another reason why it's good to get nice strong nails drove up into the hoof. And one particular reason why I decided to do the handmade shoes versus the keg shoes, where the nails can be pitched when they're handmade and then they can be into center, whereas a keg shoe, you can't really get all the pitch that you want and they're not necessarily in the center of the section either. So that's handmade.
My nail bin there got a little wet, so some of the nails have some surface rust on them. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like rust, this isn't going to be the best place for you.
So here I'm using my pull-offs as a clinch block to make sure that the nail is seated properly into the shoe, and then it's bent over and ready to start clinching. So that's why we clinch block the nails.
There we go, Ted. Got your new kicks on, Ted. How tall do you think he is? 16, 3 hands. Here's the left front. Got his hinds to do next. Go check out the right front. There we go. You did good today, Ted.